In this video, we're going to show you how to replace your e-brake shoes on the driver's side rear of your Ford Explorer. They're located right here underneath your rear brake rotor. Locate the notch on the top of the wheel here behind your center cap. Use your pry tool. Gently pry outward and remove your center cap. Using your 19mm socket, go ahead and loosen and remove the nuts. Go ahead and grab that wheel. Remove it from the vehicle and set it aside. Remove these two 10mm bolts on your brake caliper. We're going to use our socket and ratchet. We're going to go ahead and pull our brake caliper off here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a flathead screwdriver and go between the pad here and the rotor. I'm just going to try and compress that piston in just a little bit. Let's go ahead and work that caliper off. And set that aside. Go ahead and grab your brake rotor. I'm going to work that off. To remove our e-brake shoe backing here, I want to go ahead and disconnect this upper spring. It connects here and right onto the other side of the forward-mounted shoe. There's another spring right here in the bottom. We're going to disconnect that one. Right above that is an adjuster wheel. That'll probably fall out once we remove those two springs. Once we remove those there is a spring clip right here that pushes onto a pin. There's one on the other side, identical to it. We're going to remove those last. I want to go ahead and work our adjuster off. Now remember that the adjuster gear faces towards the front side. I'm going to go ahead and set that aside. Now on the back side of the upper shoes here, there's inboard spring holding tension on the upper mounting here. I'm going to use a pry tool. Our spring clips seem to be rusted in place here. I'm just going to separate that pin from this clip. Here's the clip. On the back side, go ahead and pull the pin out. I'm going to go ahead and remove that spring clip on the other side. Now the spring on the back side of our shoes here, we want to go ahead and remove that. We're going to use a tool with a notch in it to try and go in and push that off and unlock it off one of our shoes, and then remove the other shoe. So we pulled our shoe out, we're kind of rotating it upwards to get that to unhook here. So we have to remember that on installation. We're going to bring that spring up, hook it on there, and twist it onto it. And that spring is hooked right on that loop on the back side. Now on the backing plate area, there's going to be contact points where the brake shoes rub on. We're going to use our bristle brush. We want to clean this backing plate, get any residual flaky rust, anything like that off of here. Inspect that backing plate, see if there's any rust holes or anything, make sure that's solid. If it's rusty or there's holes in it, you want to go ahead and replace this backing plate now. I'm going to give this a cleaning. You want to go ahead and inspect all of your hardware. If your springs are weak or cracked or loops are broken off, you want to go ahead and just get a replacement kit for that. Just going to clean ours up. Just going to use a wire brush here, a little brass bristle brush. These work great for jobs like this. These pins play a critical role in the operation of your e-brakes as far as retaining these shoes in place. If these are crunchy or have some really large rust dimples in it, the metal is corroded away, just get a replacement kit at this point here. Don't mess around with that. Ours have some surface rust on them, but they're not bad at all. The adjuster wheel itself is actually a 3-piece unit. It has the end piece that just slips over. This gear here threads up and down as an adjuster and will open and will allow the e-brake shoes to expand out into place. Our gear is stuck on this here, so we're just going to throw this into our vise. We're going to spin this gear and break this rust free, clean up the threads, and then reassemble it. So we got our gear loose, our star wheel, and we used our bristle brush to clean up the threads here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of anti-seize compound on those threads. I'm going to spin this down. I want to go ahead and do an inspection of this unit here, make sure the inside doesn't have all kinds of built-up rust. In our case here, it's pretty clean. I'm going to put some anti-seize compound here. And simply slide that on like so. Now that doesn't thread, I'm just spinning that to get it on there. That is rebuilt, our equipment is cleaned up. Let's go ahead and start our installation. Now on our backing plate, there's going to be 6 points of contact that our e-brakes make contact with. There's going to be a point right here, one in the center, and then there's 2 on the bottom, one here, one on the side, and then say 9 o'clock on this side and about 11 o'clock over here. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of grease in these contact point areas, not a lot, just enough to help with the friction points. Doesn't have to be all glumpy or lumpy or anything like that, just a thin coat of these contact points. I want to go ahead and install our upper spring here, so this hooks into the back like so. And then bring this in. I want to go ahead and hook this. You just want to go ahead and manipulate these here so that the spring and the shoe will pop around to the back side. I'll go ahead and push these down. I want to try and get these shoes up into this notch here. I'm going to take one of your pins, got to open this up. I want to go ahead and install our adjuster. Pop that into place. We'll go ahead and move our shoes in. Now on the inside, there's going to be 2 small holes. I want to go ahead and I'm going to use our pliers here and get these hooks into place. Now we're going to go ahead and install the pin and clip on the forward mounted shoe. All right, now that we have all of our main pieces on there, we just have our last spring to install. Those go through the 2 forward little loops here. So you work that hook on the front shoe right here, and we're going to just go ahead and tap that on. Good to make sure that our shoes are on the backing plate there. Now on the bottom side here, we have our adjuster wheel. Now we're just going to go ahead and rotate this here. And we're going to turn that gear down. And what's happening is this is expanding this, and it's going to push our brake shoes outward. This is going to help us get a pre-adjustment or setting on here before we put on our brake rotor. Now we install our rotor and we push this on. You want to make sure that those e-brake shoes are just barely making contact with the inside of our rotor here. You want to do that by using that adjuster wheel on the bottom we just showed you how to operate. If you want to release it, you can go ahead and turn the gear the opposite way. In our case here, we have it set it just right. I'm going to go ahead and throw on one of the lug nuts here just to hold the brake rotor in place. Now I'm just going to bottom out that lug nut, so that'll help us with the alignment of our brake caliper. Go ahead and take that unit, slide it over. You want to go ahead and put those C's right into that lower unit there, into the slider. And once you have the lower pads into the or onto your slider here, go ahead and push this in. Make sure that your sliders out here are pushed out far enough where you can slide the caliper into place. Go ahead and install your bolts. I want to get these started by hand first. And once those are started, we can now go ahead and snug them down. Torque down our caliper bolts to 20 foot-pounds. Remove the lug nut. Go ahead and grab your wheel. Get that installed. Get our lug nuts put on. I'm going to start these all by hand, get them started a few threads. Once all of these are on, we're going to go ahead and snug them down. Go ahead and torque down our driver's side rear wheel here to 100 foot-pounds. And go ahead and install your center cap. You're all set.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.